Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another podcast of the Wargiven Racing Podcast, another episode. This is episode 16, the Las Vegas Racing Recap, as the only series that we cover on the channel. That race this weekend was NASCAR and its three affiliated uh, tiers. So, just hopping right into it, we go back over the track information really quickly. Las Vegas Motor Speedway is a 1.5 mile oval that opened in 1996, so 26 years ago now, with its first Cup race being held in 1998. This was the 29th Cup race. Kyle Larson was the defending winner from last spring. And then it is the 30th race for both Xfinity and Trucks, with AJ Allmendinger and John Hunter Nemechek being the respective spring winners from last year for both of the series. So, taking a look at the Truck Series race, the Victoria Voice Foundation 200 that was ran Friday night. The winner was Chandler Smith and Kyle Busch Motorsport Toyota. He finished ahead of his boss, Kyle Busch, who finished second, followed by Stuart Friesen, and then Ryan Preece and Tanner Gray rounding out the top five. A great day from the number 32 of Brett Holmes for his own team, Brett Holmes Racing. I believe I heard he started in the 30s. So, starting in the back, sixth of the field and getting up to eighth place in a quite a wreck-happy race. By the end of it, very impressive for him. Some notable incidents. Stage one ended with Ben Rhodes winning, and then there was a crash from the 91 of Colby Howard. Got some help. I believe it was from, I want to say, one of the Thor Sport drivers, but I'm not entirely sure. It kind of ended his night. He ran into Haley Deegan, or Deegan ran into him as part of it. Kind of ended her night. She dropped out later due to a stage 2 caution, but that involved her and another truck. But so she didn't have a good day. Stage 2 ended with Rhodes winning again. Nothing extremely big going on. A few spins, a few single truck wrecks. The incident with Deegan. But then we get to lap 103, which is the Thor Sport Nightmare Part 1, where Ben Rhodes, who had led most of the race to this point and who had won both the stages, tried to, he was in the middle of three wide, tried coming through the tri-oval, and Ty Majeski kind of had nowhere to go, spun him, ended Rhodes' night, knocked him out, and then continuing the nightmare with part 2, Christian X, while fighting with Kyle Busch for, I believe it was, if it wasn't the lead, it was definitely the top 3. X, with some misinformation from his spotter and just not seeing Busch, pulled down into Busch's line. Busch held still and did a Kyle Busch, and he got dumped. But then again, not Busch's fault. X shouldn't have came down and get in the path. And then so going on to the finish of the race on lap 134. Kyle Busch was fighting with Zane Smith and Chandler Smith. Chandler and Busch started on the front, with Zane, I believe, starting on the inside right behind Kyle Busch. And they kept it clean. Zane Smith took the lead, then was passed by Chandler. And then, he later had some technical problems in the inspection, so he got disqualified. So we'll cover that in a minute. But then farther back in the five, like the top 5, top 10 battle, John Hunter Nemechek got tagged. I believe it was by Derek Kraus in the number 19, who was absolutely out of control on the last few laps. And he ended up spinning right into the path of Jordan Anderson, who slammed into him. Back on turn 1 and 2, Grant Enfinger got into it. I think it also was with Nemechek, and he hit the wall hard, destroyed his truck. And then not even mentioned here is on the first lap of the overtime, Spencer Boyd's, I believe he's in the number 12 truck, spun and hit demolished his front half of the car. And, again, a little bit more to come on that. But he was actually injured. He was seen at the end of the race getting out of his truck holding his arm. I noticed it. I didn't think he was, badly injured because obviously he was walking. He was just holding his arm. I thought maybe, just tender, maybe broken. I guess broken arm's a major injury for a driver. But like he was okay. And then later on, it was found out that he dislocated his shoulder. So scary for him, although glad to see that he's okay. Just looking at the statistics, nothing really notable except for the fact that nearly 40% of the race was under caution. Standard amount of leaders, standard amount of lead changes. The driver that won the 2 stages didn't win the race again. The one DNQ we'll get to after we talk about KBM real quick. So Kyle Busch Motorsports had a 1-2-3 in qualifying with Nemechek on pole, Busch second, Chandler Smith third, and it translated into the race. The race finished with a Chandler Smith win, a Kyle Busch runner-up. John Hunter was in the top 5 for most of the race. Probably should have finished there, but got turned. So KBM, I think they finally found that pairing, especially with the 4 of Nemechek and the 18 of Smith. They've been really solid. Nemechek dominating most of last season, running really well at Daytona. Chandler Smith finishing out last year extremely strong, winning at Bristol and Phoenix to end the season, and then winning his 3rd race in, that'd be 7 races. So, he's on a bit of a roll. And that feeds into the other Smith. Zane Smith loses his 2nd place due to a technical infringement. He had a few loose lug nuts that got him disqualified and put last. So is Chandler Smith a front runner for the championship? I'd say he's definitely Final Four material. He won at Phoenix last year, so if he gets to Phoenix, I think he'll win. I mean, Martinsville's no longer the final race for the trucks in their last round. But then again, this is a mile and a half. He's won at a half mile in Bristol. He's won at a mile, which is Phoenix. And now he's won at a 1.5 mile, which of the playoff tracks for trucks, that's the majority of the tracks. Is Phoenix the 1 mile, which is the championship race, Bristol the short track, and then 1.5 mile tracks. So, he could definitely be a pick for the Final Four as of right now. Todd Beaudine returns. Beaudine put together a deal with Halmar Friesen Racing to race 6 races in order to get him to 600 starts. I believe total in his career, not just the Truck Series, but the Beaudine, affectionately known as the Onion, I'm not really sure why. He was before my time. Is a 2-time Truck Series champion and has not run full-time since 2013. He had a few spins, but he had pace for at least mid-pack, which is impressive considering the man hasn't driven in a few years. And, it was nice to see a face come back. He gave some good interviews and all that, and I'm looking forward to see his other starts. But the final point for the Truck Series, driver etiquette needs improvement. I mean, 9 DNFs on a 1.5 mile track is unacceptable. I mean, I don't even think that's counting Nemechek or Anderson or Kraus, who was out of control the final restart. It might count Enfinger. I think it counts Boyd. I mean, these trucks are getting torn up, in the purse for this race is a third of the Xfinity purse, and the Xfinity purse is like a fourth of the Cup purse. So I don't know. The owners in the Truck Series, I mean, the Truck Series with the rookie drivers, the young drivers, always could be a bit more wrecky. But the team owners really need to step up and be like, look, we can't afford to do this. I mean, Ben Rhodes' truck, the champion, the defending champion, didn't have a sponsor this week. Yikes. So I like where the Truck Series is at in terms of numbers. They need to improve their etiquette, and NASCAR needs to actually penalize the drivers when they screw up. Anywho, rant over. Going on to the point standings. No real changes, but now we have 2 drivers locked in the playoffs, both the Smiths. And again, the reason why there is only 9 in that separated zone is because Zane Smith won, but is outside the top 10, meaning he's in the playoffs and only the top 9 in points would be taken. So, moving on from the trucks to the Xfinity, it's the Alscos Uniforms 300. Winner, Ty Gibbs, Joe Gibbs Racing. A Toyota team, obviously. Runner-up, again, Noah Gragson, second week in a row. Top 5 being rounded out by Daniel Hamrick, and then Gragson's teammates of Barry and Allgaier. Landon Castle with his first top 10 of the season. Sheldon Creed keeping his car clean for the most part. Same with Brent Moffitt. And then AJ Allmendinger, Brandon Jones rounding out your top 10. Gibbs was involved in a bit of stuff early on, but, he held it off. So good for him. It's his 5th victory in the Xfinity Series, and he's, I think, 19. I mean, that's nuts. It's kind of I think it's, a year and a week since his first win last year at the Daytona Road Course. So the kid's got talent. He's just got to learn, some more of that etiquette. But anywho, moving on to notable incidents. Like I was talking, Ty Gibbs wrecks Ryan Sieg on lap 4. Sieg was not very happy about that. And then during the red flag that followed because of sleet, yes, I said sleet in Las Vegas, they talked. It wasn't resolved. As you can see, lap 28, Sieg swung and Sieg missed as he actually ended up, I believe, collecting the 2 and the 0-2 of Creed and Moffitt, and took himself out of the race. But anywho, and then stage 1 wraps up. Noah Gragson wins, and then going into stage 2, 2 notable incidents with Joe Graf Jr., a driver with much controversy after he failed to qualify in Fontana last week and bought out a seat from Timmy Hill to race. He dumped 2 different drivers. Kyle Weatherman, fortunately, was able to finish the race, but Matt Mills took a very hard hit. Like, the front end was gone of his number 5 Toyota, I believe. And it ended stage 2 with Gragson winning that as well. And then the most of stage 3, domination by Justin Allgaier and his number 7 Brandt Chevy. And then his win got, air quotes, stolen because Jesse Iwuji, who had been running off the pace for most of the day, got loose, spun, collected the 6 of Ryan Vargas, who then got pile driven into by the 99 of Stephen Parsons, ending their day in what was, again, a very destructive wreck. So, moving on to lap 189 of 200, there was a checkup by the leaders going into turns 1 and 2. Someone got loose, got forced up the track, and so that caused the cars behind the checkup. So the 18 of Ryan Truax got loose and went up the track into the left-hand side of Austin Hill, took both of them out of the race, which really was unfortunate as they'd been running in the top 10 all day. And then it went on to the finish with Ty Gibbs dueling Noah Gragson for the win. Gragson sadly could not get past Gibbs, and so Gragson got his second place in a row. So looking at the statistics, nothing major here. Average on the front. Another driver that swept the stages did not win. Ty Gibbs, spoiled or genuine? I'm only saying spoiled or genuine is after the race he gave in his post-race interview the very diplomatic, I apologize to the 39 team. I didn't mean to get into him on lap 4. I understand why what happened. But, is he being serious or is he being a bit of a punk? I mean, we'll find out. He's 19. His grandfather owns the team. I mean, at the moment, it's working out. You don't win 5 Xfinity races, even if you're in the best car, without talent. Not in this field. I mean, sure, luck helped him today. He wasn't winning without that caution between the 34, the 6, and the 99. But, we'll see what, unfolds in his first full-time Xfinity season. And then heartbreak for Allgaier and Mayer. Sam Mayer finished, I believe, in 25th. He had some problems, caused him to go a few laps down. I think it was from damage in one of the late wrecks, which, sucked for him. He had been running up front, top 5 all day. The junior motorsports cars were fast again, and Allgaier had the win. He was up by, I think it was like 8 seconds over the field. He had lapped everybody up to 13th in that long green flag run, and so it kind of just sucks that, he had his win not stolen because there was still 15 laps, but, he deserves to feel a bit aggravated over that. And then Noah Gragson, Mr. Consistency so far through the first 3 races, which is not like his season last year. He had a poor start to last season and then picked up later in the season, and he's continued that momentum into the first 3 races. His 3 finishes have been 3rd, 2nd, and 2nd. And if you discount the fact that Cole Custer's a Cup driver, he won that race in terms of Xfinity drivers. So, so far so good for the number 9, and he's going to get a win at some point. Looking at the point standings, Gregson's top of the leaderboard here. Only 2 drivers are locked in, Austin Hill and Ty Gibbs, because Cole Custer's a Cup Series driver. The battle for that bubble is starting to develop. Really, the only non-full-time driver so far to be announced in the top 20, or I guess there's 2 of them, is JJ Yeley and Kyle Sieg. They most likely won't race all season. Yaley might. There's rumors that he is in a full-time season with MBM, but I know Kyle Sieg is for sure part-time. He's just ran all 3 races so far. Who knows? He's in the top 20 in points. He may have the funding to keep going. I mean, the RSS cars have been looking fast. I mean, Ryan Sieg's in 11th, was fighting in the top 10 when Gibbs did what he did, and then Sieg ended his night trying to wreck out Gibbs, which, he swung and missed. So, we'll see. Maybe he runs more races. I mean, it's been impressive for a kid that's only in his 4th Xfinity race. That he's doing this well. So, congrats to him. Props to them. The notables that aren't in the playoffs is obviously Creed in the Richard Childress car and Landon Castle in that color car, though Castle's had some bad luck so far first few weeks, but that aside, he had a good race this week. Now moving on to the main show, the Penn's Oil 400 winner, Alex Bowman in his Hendrick Chevrolet, followed up by his teammate Kyle Larson, who he was battling for the win with. Ross Chastain, who actually led the most laps in yesterday's race. A solid 3rd place, looked to have it in the bag a little bit, and then, just, again, that unfortunate caution comes out. Really sucks for Chastain, but, this is progress. This is where Trackhouse has shown that they can run up front. Suarez did it last week. Chastain did it this week. Look for them to maybe have a much improved sophomore season, maybe pick up their first win. Anywho, rounding out the top 5 is Kyle Busch and his Saga of Las Vegas. Very interesting. And then William Byron, the quiet Hendrick car, for all the right reasons this week. 5th place after having 2 pretty hard crashes to start off the season. Eric Almirola, another 6th place finish. He's had 3 finishes, top 6 or better. Only driver to finish in the top 10 throughout the first 3 races. And then Tyler Reddick, who's finally gotten the result that, he deserves, wasn't wrecked out, didn't have any problems, finished 7th, good race. Martin Truax, unfortunate that he finished so far back after battling with Kyle Busch for the lead with about 50 to go. Chase Elliott really was nowhere. The 9th place, I mean, he never was really out of the top 15, so it wasn't a bad day. It wasn't a great day. It was kind of just an average day. And then Christopher Bell, I mean, he started up pole, dominated the first 30 laps. Competition caution came out. He got jumped in the pits, fighting throughout the field. Then early in stage, I want to say 3 or stage 2, he goes for it, spins out. Loses a lap, but gets back on the lead lap, ends up finishing 10th. So all in all, a good day again after finishing last and 3rd to last at the 500. Again, need the top 10, get some points on the board. Big loser today, Denny Hamlin, and we'll talk about him in a few moments. So notable incidents, stage 1, few spins. People are, still getting used to the car. Alex Bowman wins the stage. One of those cars involved in one of the spins didn't spin, but it was Kyle Busch, who was driving a backup car because of his crash in practice. So he started from the back and then had a penalty on the competition caution, so went to the back again and kind of got involved in this wreck, so he went to the back again, and more on him later. So then Briscoe on lap 93 gets loose, trying to go around Michael McDowell, who's on older tires. Wrecks Daniel Suarez accidentally. Suarez, hard hit. Fortunately, he's okay. Didn't really... I mean, it just sucked. Suarez was running pretty good. But, is what it is. And then 10 laps later, Ryan Blaney had the unfortunate experience of getting collected by Brad Keselowski, who had only changed 2 tires, and his pit stop on the Briscoe caution got loose, spun, and just Blaney had nowhere to go. Destroyed his car. He was done for the day. So Blaney's had a bad start to the season in terms of wrecks. Not really. Well, okay, he was second place at Daytona 500, but in Fontana has issues. This week has a lot big issues. Really unfortunate. Then the end of stage 2 finished with Ross Chastain winning his first stage, I believe, in his NASCAR career. And Chastain, like I said, led the most laps of today's race, and he led more laps in this race than he has in his career, which matches what Tyler Reddick did last week at Fontana. Funny enough, both of them didn't win those races. So then the first half of stage 3, Chastain's dominating. They're going into green flag pit stops, and then Denny Hamlin gets his pit stop, comes out of his box, gets ready to start powering around the inside to get back up on the track, and he does, honestly, the first, which is surprising that it hasn't happened already in a race. I know it's happened in the practice and the test with the next gen, but he breaks his gearbox. And so NASCAR previously was a 4-speed H pattern shift. So, and I don't want to pretend to know anything about this because I've driven automatic transmission cars all my life. But I believe an H pattern is first is the top left, then second is behind it, then it goes up to third in the other corner, then down to fourth. Or I know first and fourth are in the 2 corners. I get 2 and 3 mixed up. But anywho, with this shifter, it goes, if you go up, you're downshifting. If you go down, you're upshifting. So Denny Hamlin, instead of going up or down into whatever next gear he needed, he went down and broke his gearbox. So really unfortunate. He was quite pissed. His crew chief, Chris Gable, was also quite pissed, and so unfortunate for them. They've had a very rough start to the season, with their best finish being 15th last week at Fontana. And so then after that, Kyle Busch and Martin Truex fight for the win until a late caution comes out. Eric Jones, looking at the replay, it just seems like his suspension after, some close calls throughout the race, some beating and banging, just gave way. And so he went hard into the turn 4 wall, bounced off, tried saving it. NASCAR didn't throw the caution right away. Gets past the start-finish line, hits the inside grass, spins up the track. Bubba Wallace, who's coming at probably 185 miles an hour, goes around Chastain, but in doing so, the turn to avoid him, spins his car hard into the tire barriers at the end of pit lane. Fortunately, was able to continue, but kind of ruined his day. And it ruined Busch and Truex's, battle. They had been, within half a second of each other, fighting for the lead for the past 20, 30 laps. And that may sound like the previous package, the 550 package, where, Truex isn't getting past. He's just hitting that dirty air bubble. No, this was sliding around these 2 cars, going side by side into the corner, fighting with each other. Door to door. Truex sure has a little bit of that dirty air, but you're not going to get rid of it all. But compared to last year, if this was last year, Truex, has to bump Busch out of the way. They didn't even make contact, which, they're teammates, so they're going to try to give each other a bit more space. But, no contact. Huge, great racing from the new car. And then the finish, so obviously everybody pits. The 4 Hendrick cars took two tires. Or the 3 Hendrick cars at the front took 2 tires. Chase Elliott was a bit further back. Busch, Truex, and Chastain took 4 tires. So it restarted with Kyle Larson on the outside as the restart car, Bowman on the inside as the inside lane. Then it was, I believe, Byron and Busch with Chastain lined up behind Busch in 5th. And Bowman and Larson kind of ran away just far enough that Chastain, Byron, and Busch, who were fighting, couldn't catch up. Larson tried using the high side. Bowman went low. Larson kind of got loose going into turn 3, turn 4 on the final lap. Washed up the track, lost momentum. You saw him get out of the throttle. And it allowed Bowman to pull away. Bowman takes the win, his 7th Cup win. Kyle Busch ends up finishing 4th because Chastain got him on the line. So kind of a rough day to end it all for Busch, but Bowman wins. So then the statistics: 12 cautions. We're in double-digit cautions again. Lots of leaders, not so many lead changes. 23 cars in the lead lap. Standard stuff. The Hendrick Cruise and the Hendrick strategy does it again. I mean, they've done it They did it at the championship race for all its faults. That's what it is. It's the championship race, and Kyle Larson won it because his pit crew got him out in front at the final restart. You saw this at Dover last year. You saw this time and time again that Hendrick has the best crew chiefs and the best pit crews. And their crew chiefs aren't always right. And there may be slightly better crew chiefs than the Hendrick crews. But the Hendrick crews, in terms of strategy, spotters, with the exception of Kyle Larson and his spotter at the moment, they're constantly on the ball. And that might be because they're great crew chiefs, and they probably are, and they've got great pit crews. But Chad Canals, who got promoted to, I believe it's VP of competition or something of competition, he's pulling his magic behind the scenes, and, props to them. As much as I dislike Hendrick for, being the monster team, you got to respect talent when they put it out constantly like this, and, they did it again. Bowman backs into another win. Kyle Busch let out a very scathing remark. I'm not going to repeat it here. If you want to hear it, either listen to Radioactive on NASCAR's YouTube channel when it comes out, I believe tomorrow, or go on Twitter. You'll see it. But he pretty much builds off of Denny Hamlin calling Alex Bowman a hack last year at Martinsville, where Bowman bumped Hamlin out of the way to win the race. Obviously, Denny's teammates, Kyle Busch. Kyle Busch was leading most of the end of the race. And Bowman kind of stole it from Busch, but it was fair, legitimate. It was done on pit road. And so Bowman backed into another win, But he did it. He won stage 1. He was quick all day. He was in the top 5, top 10. Never really had issues, fought for the lead a bit. But the other major issue, Toyota fixes their overheating issues. It plagued all 6 Toyotas last week at Auto Club. No one had, I believe all the Toyotas finished. The only one with significant damage. Oh, no. 5 of them finished. Denny had his gearbox blow up. But other than Denny's gearbox and Bubba getting getting collected in Eric Jones's spin, the Toyotas had a much better day. Lot better mechanically on the whole. So they were able to go harder throughout the race. And then finally, the Kyle Busch saga. So within 5 minutes of practice on Saturday, Busch wrecks hard. Completely destroys the right rear of his car, and his crew got a backup car that didn't have an engine, didn't have a transmission, was obviously not wrapped with the sponsors and the logos, had Denny Hamlin's nameplate on the back of it, and they got it ready in 9 hours, transferring parts from the primary car that weren't damaged. I mean, talk about fantastic work. And so he starts from the back. And then the competition caution comes out. And he's got to start from the back again because of what? I literally just talked about it. He had his shifter. That's why. His shifter broke. And it then pit road for the first time. Oh my Lord. And so then he gets partially collected in the Austin Dillon incident. And it's just not working out. And then he gets to the lead. The man in a backup car gets to the lead with no practice. Didn't even run a qualifying lap. He's in the lead, and then Eric Jones wrecks in it, kind of ruins his day. I mean, granted, his crew chief went for 4 tires. If they have 4 laps, he probably wins. But, I mean, again, Kyle Busch at his home track, very interesting race from him. But, anywho, let's take a look at the standings. You got Kyle Larson, the leader of the points. No big surprises. Chastain moves in the top 20. Again, apologies that it says 1, 2, 3, 4. That is a formatting issue that I will fix for next time. Tyler Reddick just chilling, point out of the top 16 in points. I mean, we've got 3 drivers locked in the playoffs. 2 of them are Hendrick drivers. 1 is Austin Cindric. Actually, not counting the playoff points that get given out to the regular season champ and all that. Bowman's got the most playoff points at the moment because he's got a stage win. Larson and Cindric haven't won stages. Cindric kind of had a quiet day, finished 12th, an average rookie day. The Fords in general just were eh. Blaney was the fastest of the group, and he got taken out. So Briscoe was fast, but he was on edge. As you can tell, he wrecked Suarez. Not really his fault entirely, and then he spun again. So, yeah, Greg Biffle. I want to give a shout out to Greg Biffle. He ran, back 20s, but in his team, the NY Racing team, that's kind of expected. He was clean, and what took him out of the race ultimately was the fuel pump that apparently they didn't fix from Daytona. Knocked him out of the race. So sorrow for the 44. Yeah, the 44 team. But obviously, if you listen to the preview, one thing you haven't heard is my reaction to my predictions, and that's for a reason. They were quite horrible. My prediction in the truck race was Nemechek would win. He finished, ended up 24th after the wreck. Obviously in contention, his teammate won, so kind of close, but no cigar. And Xfinity, I picked Brandon Jones, trying to be a bit different, and he finished top 10, but was really nowhere in the race. And then I picked Joey Logano for today's race, and, he was fighting for the lead for the first 15 laps, and then his car fell away, so obviously they set it up for the quali run and didn't really have the speed or the adjustments in the race. So I took 3 big swings and 3 big misses for this week. But anywho, one final look at this point standings for the Cup Series now, and then we go to the custom points. Again, this is for fun. This is because I'm a nerd and partially a commentary on the fact I hate the playoffs, but we're gonna ignore that. Looking at my fast car point system, Tanner Gray for the Truck Series has been the Eric Almirola, even though he's much younger. He's finished, I believe, he's finished both races in the top 10, one top 5 today on Friday. So he leads the fast car point standings with 360 points. As you can tell, Zane Smith, the big loser, since he was disqualified under the fast car rules, if you're disqualified, you get no points, so he's down in 15th now. And then Chandler Smith jumps up to 5th with his win. So that's the fast car truck points. The Xfinity Series, Noah Gragson with his 3rd, 2nd, and 2nd is first by 45 points over AJ Allmendinger. And then Ty Gibbs moves up to 4th place. Full-time cars occupying the top 20 again, with the possible exceptions of Yaley and Kyle Sieg at some point. But again, this is going to be the tracker of, average finish matters. Who's the most consistent drivers is going to be who's the highest in the fast car points. And then moving on to the Cup Series, Eric Almirola and Kyle Busch, 2 drivers you would not think to be up there, are 1 and 2, with your most recent winner, Alex Bowman, down in 14th. I know not completely fair to Bowman because he had some issues. Well, he got wrecked out more or less at the Daytona 500 again. And then he at Fontana, No, I think he was kind of just middle of the pack at Fontana. If I remember correctly. I don't know. But, with his win, he's in 14th. But again, big shout out here's to Daniel Hamrick, 9th place. Now, granted, he's not a full-time driver, so he's going to drop out of the top 10, top 20 soon. But, props to the man in his 3 Cup races so far this season. 9th place in terms of the consistency fast car points. So, good for him. That wraps up the weekend, or the racing recap for the Las Vegas weekend of racing. Looking forward to this upcoming week. We've got Fast Car tomorrow night on the channel. That would be race number 10. I believe at Bristol, so always exciting to see short track action. Then on Wednesday, to celebrate Formula One, who's going to be testing this weekend, starting on the 10th, we will have the Formula One season preview and predictions. looking forward to that. And then later on in the week, we will have the racing weekend preview going up on the channel with the predictions and preview for NASCAR at Phoenix for their spring race. The trucks are not there, so it'll be only Xfinity and Cup, and then general racing news will also be talked about there. Although Formula One stuff will be covered on Wednesday. If you liked what you heard, if you've got opinions, leave it in the comment section. Tell me what I'm doing right. Tell me what I'm doing wrong. Tell me what I am speaking nonsense about. If you like today's video, give it a like. If you like the content this channel is providing, go ahead and hit that subscribe button. I really appreciate the support that everyone has been giving so far. As you guys listen to just an average motorsports fan ramble on about things that he probably doesn't know too much about. But yeah, so that wraps up today. I hope everyone has a good day and keep on enjoying the racing. Cheers.